Have you ever noticed that when you visit an English seaside town, they all start to feel strangely familiar? So you arrive by train or road. There's usually a long promenade, a beach, a pier, fish and chips, arcades, a row of hotels facing the sea. So whether you're in Scarborough, Bridlington, Skegness, Blackpool, Bournemouth or Great Yarmouth, there seems to be a pattern. So why do many English seaside towns look alike? Well, it turns out there's a fascinating story involving history, geography, language, and millions of ordinary people. Hello, I'm Amy and welcome back to my channel. So let's be honest, England is a little divided, a little bit gloomy at the moment. So I've taken it upon myself to look into the English history that doesn't necessarily make the headlines, but it's interesting nonetheless. I'm interested in the positives and the quirks of England. So if that sounds like your kind of thing, hit the subscribe button. I've got plenty more videos planned. If you do have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments below. Let's start with the geography, because basically the sea is the boss here. Most English seaside towns developed around the natural features that made them useful places to land boats or attractive places to visit. Many have a bay which provides shelter from the rough seas. Others sit beside a river mouth or a natural harbour. If you've ever looked at a map, you'll notice something else. Many seaside towns have a very obvious front. Unlike inland towns that grow in all directions, seaside towns have one side blocked by the sea. They can only expand inland, and that's why you often find the seafront running in a long line with streets stretching backwards behind it. Once you spot it, you'll see it everywhere. But geography only explains part of the story. The real reason most seaside towns look similar happened during the 1800s. Before then, most ordinary people didn't take holidays. If you were lucky, you might visit family a few villages away. That was about it. Then something happened, something revolutionary, the Industrial Revolution. And the railways were built. Suddenly, huge numbers of people from industrial cities could travel to the coast for the first time. Workers from Sheffield could head to Scarborough. Families from Manchester could go to Blackpool, and they absolutely loved it. Victorian Britain developed a love for seaside culture and holidays. Towns rushed to build attractions for the new visitors, and because they were all competing for the same holiday makers, they ended up building many of the same things. These common things included piers, promenades, bandstands, theatres, and that explains why we see a lot of these similar things in most seaside towns. We can compare this to a modern day shopping centre, which are found in different towns and cities, but often follow the same formula. If it works in one place, everyone copies it. And that's why you can travel hundreds of miles around England and keep spotting the same layout. Now let's talk about one of my favourite seaside features, the promenade. The reason promenades exist isn't just because they look nice. The Victorians loved the idea of healthy sea air. Doctors often recommended trips to the seaside. People genuinely believed sea breezes could improve health and well-being. So promenades were built as places where visitors could stroll along the coast and enjoy the fresh air. I guess it's understandable, as the working class holiday makers were used to breathing in smog and smoke of industrial towns and cities. Another pattern is the pier. In modern day, piers look like entertainment venues, but originally they solved a practical problem. Many seaside resorts didn't have deep water harbours. The pier allowed boats to dock further offshore while passengers walked to the land. Over time, they evolved into attractions packed with theatres, rides and amusements, which explains why so many English piers seem slightly random. They started as transport infrastructure and ended up as giant entertainment centres. Now let's look at the language, because seaside towns have left their mark on English too. Words like prom, day tripper and bank holiday getaway became common because of seaside culture. And many coastal towns still have local dialect words that reflect centuries of fishing, sailing and maritime life. You can often tell a town's history just by listening to the local place names. Names ending in pool often refer to pools of water. Mouth usually mean river mouth. Places ending in ness often describe a headland. So even the names on a map tell a story about the coastline. But perhaps the most interesting pattern isn't the buildings, it's the people. Because most English seaside towns were built around ordinary people's free time. Unlike castles, cathedrals or royal palaces, many seaside resorts exist because of millions millions of regular working class people finally had chance to enjoy leisure time. Many working class families saved up all year for a few days by the seaside. The donkey rides, the ice cream, the amusement arcades and the fish and chip shops weren't designed for kings and queens. They were designed for ordinary working class families. And that's why seaside towns feel different from many historic places. They weren't created for the rich and powerful. They were a treat for ordinary people wanting to relax and have fun. Have you ever wondered why iconic seaside food became iconic? Seaside food and treats that we know today aren't random. Most were easy to make in bulk, they were cheap to buy and easy to walk around with and eat. This was perfect for the working class families who were used to basic, boring meals. Seaside food became part of the seaside experience. Candy floss was cheap to make, it was large and it was fun. Perfect for the children. Rock didn't melt or go stale, so it was easy to hold and walk with at the seaside, but it was also a great treat to take home with you. Sugar donuts were quick to fry and the smell travelled a mile and tempted the hungry crowds. Fresh fish from the sea, served with hot delicious chips, would be shared amongst the family, but it was also easy to eat with your hands. Of course, not every seaside town is identical. Scarborough has dramatic cliffs, Blackpool has its famous tower, Whitby has an abbey, Bournemouth has sandy beaches and pine trees. Underneath those differences, the same pattern appears again and again. A sheltered coastline, a railway connection, a promenade, a pier, entertainment, and generations of ordinary people looking forward to a day at the seaside. So next time you visit an English seaside town and notice there's a similar layout to all the other seaside towns, just remember you're seeing one of England's most successful patterns. Let's do some quick facts. During both world wars, fish and chips were one of the few foods not subjected to rationing, partly because the government saw them as important for public morale. The English seaside is one of the few landscapes that was shaped as much by leisure and fun as by industry or farming. Soft serve ice cream became hugely popular in Britain after the Second World War. English seaside resorts were largely built for ordinary working families rather than the wealthy elites. Victorian seaside resorts often competed with each other by building bigger attractions, grander hotels and long piers. Many English seaside towns look similar because they were solving the same problem. How do you entertain thousands of working class visitors arriving by train for a day at the beach? Thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed today. As I said before, if there's anything you want to recommend, leave it in the comments below and I will see you next time. Let's do some quick